Alrighty guys, welcome to this video and welcome to week one. We're going to talk about transforms and translates and perspective and all kinds of weird stuff. We're going to start with the basics of CSS animation. The first week's assignment shouldn't be too bad. Okay, but here I am in the home page of the course. Remember, I got a little announcement here that gives you a little overview of Brightspace. I'm not really going to give that in this video, but you can check it out if you want. But to get to the home page of the course, you're clicking here. And this is the home page. This is where I'll put announcements and then resources. For this class, you are going to need, if you don't have already, but I think most of you already do, you are going to need to have a domain, a web host, and you need to be able to upload stuff to it. Head over to the roster. I know, Ben, I know you have that. Laura, I know you should have that. I think, but if you're still with ByteHost, Laura, you may want to head over and do the free stuff and get like a free domain and get the free year hosting with InterServer. And Alec, I'm pretty sure you got that too. So anyways, if I head back, if I go back to the home page of the course, if you want to take a look, this is some new stuff, even though I've had you guys for a while. Name Silo I found is a registrar. They're pretty cheap. It's $9 a year for private registration and everything. If you want the free domain name, Freenom is good. But I have videos here now that'll kind of show you how to go through that if you want to take a look at them. And then, of course, InterServer gives the free year of hosting to students. So take a look at that. If you have any questions setting any of that up, shoot me off an email. So here's Brightspace. It's our new LMS, Learning Management System. It's going to be really similar to eCompanion. We're going to have things and we're going to have discussions where you'll turn things in. Okay, so to get into the actual course, you head over to Learning Path. Okay, overview is where you're going to see my contact information. Once Jordan sends me his schedule, I'll put it here. And then there's the syllabus if you want to go through it. I'm not going to do it, but you can if you want. And then resources here is what we saw on that home page, all the different things there. But we won't really be talking a whole lot about that. But we are going to hop into week one. And this is how I'm going to do it. You'll just week by week, you'll come to these weeks. There will be an instructional video posted here, and then it'll have the requirements for the assignment. To turn it in, you're going to click right here on the assignment. Okay, I haven't done that yet, so actually I'm going to do that in this video right now. Okay. Post that real quick. All right, let's hop back out to that just so you can see it again. Sorry guys, I thought I had that. So you'll hop on week one. The requirements for the assignment will be there. You're going to click on the name of the assignment. You'll scroll down and then you'll see that thread. And then you click on that and then you'll hit reply. And then you're just going to put in, your domain.com/theassignment.html. So I just need the link to your assignment each week. Just like you've done that before, this is how we're going to be doing it for the rest of the quarter. Okay, so that's how you turn it in. All right, so week one, we're going to talk about just simple stuff. It shouldn't be too bad. But you're going to have to do some simple CSS animations to at least 3 objects. Okay, one of the objects can be a div, it can be an image, it can be a link, it can be whatever you want. It can be a form thing like an input text box, doesn't matter. But you need to use translate X, translate Y, translate, skew, scale, rotate, blah, blah, blah. You've got to use all these things on the page. Okay. So you're going to be manipulating at least 3 objects. You'll be skewing them, rotating, whatever, just simple stuff. And then you are going to do a transition to animate at least 3 more things. So you'll have 6 things total on the page that you're going to be animating and that you're going to be translating and transforming and such. Okay, you're going to use the animate using hover and focus, but I'll show you how to do all this. I think some of you guys may already know some of these things. So like I said, it shouldn't be too bad. All right. So here I'm in brackets. If you don't have brackets, remember you can just go to, let's see, brackets.io. That's the website for it. And you can download it there. Download it and install it. But I think most of you guys already have it. So this is what I have. It's nothing too crazy. Just I have this div. Let's take a look at the code. Right, I just have an A tag. Inside the A tag, I have a div that says click here. So it makes the div a link basically. So I click on it, it goes to Google. I have an image of this amazing horse. He's beautiful. Oops, I messed that up. I don't want the A tag to be closed there. I want it to be closed there. All right, so there's the beautiful horse. And then all I've done is I've gone in there, I've linked the style sheet. You guys should already know how to do that. And then I just set a width and a height of 125 and 30, gave it a border, a black border. The padding, the top is 25, right is 0, bottom is 10, the left is 35. Sorry, I've been kind of sick, so you may hear some weird noises when I'm trying to suppress coughs. Background color, black, color, cadet blue, font family, Arial. Okay. And then I haven't styled the picture at all. So all I'm going to do is just start showing you these different CSS properties on how you can kind of mess around with these objects. And then once you add the transition property, you can start doing some cool animations, some cool rollover effects. Actually, I do want to add one more thing here. It's just going to be a quick text box. All right, so that's it. I'll throw a couple BRs in here. So like usual, I don't want your projects to look like mine. I'm just trying to show you these concepts, and then I want you to think of a cool, creative way to use these. Because you can get some cool 3D effects, and that's what we're trying to do. All right, so I'm going to play around with this first, the click here. Now I want to get rid of the underline, so I'm just going to style the A tag. I'll just do text decoration none. Move this over because we're going to focus mainly on the CSS here. And I want to be able to see this as we go. All right. So I got rid of the underline. We're good to go. Okay, now the first thing we can do, and we do this with the transform property. As you can see, the transform property has a bunch of them. You can do translate, you can do skews, scales, all kinds of weird stuff. So the first thing we can do is translate. This is pretty simple. It's just, excuse me, you're going to hear some weird noises. So I can say, yeah, I want to translate this 100px, and all you can see is that it moved it over 100 pixels from where it is. So it's a way to just kind of bump things around. Now, if I wanted to move it from the X, so that's the X axis going left and right. If I want to do the Y axis, I just throw in another number and it'll do both. So it moved it over 100 pixels and it brought it down 40. So that's a way you can kind of push things around and move things around if needed. Also, there's the translex X property. It's the same thing that we just did. It's just you're declaring it specifically for the X. And you can do transform, translate Y, but there's really no reason to do it when you can do it that shorthand method, right? Okay. So anyways, there's that. Now, if I want, I can kind of, there, I'll throw it back to where it was. But let's just do 20 pixels and 20 pixels. Now, if I can start throwing on more if I want to. There's multiple properties here for the transform. We can do a skew, and we can do a skew X or skew Y. I'm just going to do a skew of 20 degrees. Okay, and you can see how it just kind of messes with it that way. And I could do skew X instead, which actually didn't really seem to change much. But then there's the skew Y. Now I don't know if you can do 2 here. Yeah, looks like you can. You can do the X and Y just like you can with the translate. So you can play around with these values just to get little offset effects here that may, make things look a little more interesting. Okay, and then also there's the rotate property. Again, you can rotate X, Y, and Z if you want. I'm just going to do the 1 here. I'll rotate it 20 degrees. Okay, and I can just mess with the values here if I want. See, I mean, you can rotate them as much as you want. You can go a little nuts here. But you have that rotate property that'll give you a little bit of an effect there as well. Now, these stack. In other words, if I took rotate and I kind of moved it in front, we may get a little bit more of a different effect. I don't know. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But it applies rotate first, then translate, and then skew. So you can put these in different orders, and it can mess with your effect a little bit. It can change it up. So just kind of be aware of that. All right. So that's kind of all we'll do with this one for now. We may come back to it. But I want to mess with this beautiful horse because he's amazing. And I gave him a class of pick. So we're going to mess with that. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is a transform. And we kind of already played around with this, but I'm going to do a rotate X and we'll say 30 degrees. And just think of, when you do these rotates, just think of like a pole being here in the middle and it's rotating around that pole on the X axis. And the best way to do this is just play with all these different values to kind of get an idea of, now he's 90 degrees. In other words, he's basically laying down flat is what's going on there. If I can do, 110 and now he's upside down. So what you're doing here is you're just pretending that there's like a bar here and he's just rotating around that on the X axis. So I'll go back to 10 degrees there. I can do rotate Y. So it's kind of the same concept here. But now instead of rotating on the X axis, it's rotating on the Y axis. It's going around this way. Okay, so you can start getting these rotating things like we did here. But now I want to show you this other one. It's called perspective. If you've done any type of like 3D drawings, this will kind of start making sense a little bit. But you can think of perspective as basically like how kind of far or close you are from the object. And I actually did it wrong here. We're going to go back into transform and I'm going to add it as a property of transform. So I'm going to go perspective and I'll give it a perspective of, let's say, 1,000 pixels. Now you can see it didn't really change that much. But what this is doing is basically saying I'm 1,000 pixels away on the z-axis. The z-axis is basically going closer or farther away. So when I say I'm 1,000 pixels on the perspective, it's saying I'm 1,000 pixels away from it. Now, if I make it a little bit closer, you can see how it gets skewed, and it's kind of like overtaking me in a way. And if I say 10, it's because basically I'm 10 pixels away from this picture, and it's just like in my face. I'm basically in the picture right now. That's awesome teeth right there. So the perspective line is just basically allowing you to kind of define how far or close away you are from the picture, and then it will rotate. I mean, I guess you could say how far away you are from that axis it's rotating around, because right now I'm 10 pixels away from it, and it's like I'm in the middle of the picture and having it be rotated around me. is basically what's going on there. All right. So let's kind of do, I don't know, let's do like 300. Looks okay. Okay, another one is transform translate 3D, and you're able to define the x-axis, the y-axis, and the z. But anyways, it's kind of like what we were playing around with here, how we have the translate here. I can just say translate, and it'll do it in 3D space. That's the main difference here, is translates on the x and y axis, but you can define the z axis as well. So if I say, 100, it moves it over 100 on the x-axis. If I say 100, it moves it down, and so forth. And then the z-axis is just how close or far away it is from you. So as I change that value, you don't really see much changing because it's kind of like z-index if you've done that. So anyways. Okay, so that's the first part of the assignment. You'll need to take 3 objects and play around with the translate and rotate and skew and translate 3D and all those. Play around with it just to kind of get some cool effects, things that might catch people's attention when they go on your sites. The next thing you want to mess with is the transition. So it can take all of these things and it can animate them. And it's kind of cool how that works. So the way this works, and I'm sure maybe all of you guys know how to do this, but it's transition, okay, and then we say how long we want it to take, and that's really it. And it's kind of weird how you set this up. You're basically saying, all right, here, if any of these properties here change, we're going to animate them, and we're going to take 0.5 seconds to do that. So the way we can change these properties are with pseudo classes, right? So I can say animate me hover. So when I hover it over it, I want to change some of this stuff. So I could say, I don't know, transform, rotate 20 degrees. Okay, so now when I come and mouse over, it's going to take that rotate and it's moving it 20 degrees. And if I want even less of a thing, I can say 15. Actually, I don't even know if that's really changing that much. Yeah, it is. So, I mean, I don't know, you could do kind of a hanging effect where it looks like maybe something is hanging on a pole and it is, excuse me, it's kind of wagging around in the wind or something. I don't know. But I can change multiple things. I could say, all right, I'm messing with the rotation, but I'm also going to mess with the skew. And we'll do 15 degrees, 15 degrees. And it'd help if I spelled it right. Oh, I need a comma in there. Go. Okay, so it rotates and the skew really moves. So, you can start playing with it. And again, anything that changes here, anything that's been defined here that I change here will be animated in that 0.5 seconds. So just play around with it. See if you can get some cool effects going with some sort of rollovers. But yeah, I mean, you can change the color of the text. You can change the background color. You can make it smaller, bigger. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do with this, the transition. All right, so let's play around here with, let's see, I guess the picture we can play around with a little bit more. I could say pick hover as well. So when I hover over the picture, I want to change certain things. Now, let's say here I'm going to define a width of the picture of 200 and a height of the picture of 300. Okay, and now this is kind of the quick way of doing it, just saying, hey, if any of these change, transition it. But what if I only want to if I want to get down a little more specific and be like, well, I don't want the width to change, I don't want the height to change, I don't want any of this stuff to change, I just want specific things to change, then you can say transition, and you would say, okay, I only want the width to change. The width is going to change in 0.5 seconds, and I want the height to change in 0.25 seconds. I'm sorry, we're going to do that up here. That's my bad. Because you have to set it up. Basically say, all right, if the width changes, change it in 0.5 seconds. If the height changes, take 0.25 seconds to change it. And down here we define how it'll change. So the width would, I don't know, grow to 250. Okay, the height would grow to 350. Right, so there we go. Now you can kind of see how it's offset a little bit, because the width is going in 0.5 seconds, so it's taking a little bit longer, but the height goes quicker. So it gets kind of this cool little offset effect going on. Now another effect you can do is you can define how long you want it to take, but you can also define like an offset, or like how long you want it to wait. So if I come over here, it's going to say, all right, it's going to take 0.5 seconds to animate the width, but it's going to wait 0.25 seconds before it actually animates. So now you get this cool little growing effect. So the height goes first. It waits the 0.25 seconds for the height to grow, because I told it to right here, and then it animates out the width. So it grows the height and then it goes back. So it's just kind of, you can get these cool effects by offsetting it a little bit here and there. Now, you can also define transitions. So I can say I want this to ease in. And I can say right here, I want this to ease in as well. So it starts out slow and then goes faster and eases in, and then it starts slow and kind of goes in, and so forth. So you can use these offsets to make it wait for some, you can basically say, all right, height animate first, and then the width will animate. And to be honest, here I'd probably want this to be 0.25, so it kind of goes, the same speed. So you can have something animate first and then have something animate second by putting in these offsets. So that's kind of cool. Or they're not really called offsets, they're called delays. There are a bunch of different ones. There's ease in, there's ease in out. I don't know all of them. Uh-oh, what the heck happened? Guess I clicked on it. But you can play around with the different transitions and kind of see what you get there. But the thing to know about transitions is, like right here, if I didn't define the width, I guess it kind of works. You can see how it kind of jumps in and then goes. With these transitions to work well, what you're going to be transitioning, you want to make sure you define first. So now that I've defined it, it can transition these a lot better when I make them a little bit bigger here. So if you don't define what you're going to be transitioning here first, you can run into some problems. So just make sure that you do that. Okay. So the assignment is this. You're going to take 3 objects, you're going to mess around with the rotation and skew, and you're going to just mess with them and make them look kind of cool. And then you're going to take another 3 objects and you're going to animate them with transition. Okay, and then once you're done, you're going to upload it to your host. If you can't remember how to do that, if you come back here to the home page, okay, so this will show you how to get the domain, this will show you how to get the free hosting for the year. This one right here will show you how to create an FTP account on your host if you haven't already. Okay, this will show you how to create an FTP account on your host, and then it'll show you how to get Fire FTP in Firefox and upload things, and how to get the link to be able to turn it in. So if you're rusty on any of that stuff, these videos are here to help you. So once it's done, once you got it finished up, upload it to your host, get your link to the assignment, And then you're going to come down here to week 1. We've already done this. Go to basic CSS animations. Go down here into this thread. Hit reply. And then put your domain in there. Spelled it wrong. Excuse me. Jeez. CSS week 1, whatever, .html. Give it to me there, and then I'll be able to grade it. So this is due next week. There really is, I'm going to try to get these videos for these courses out at least by Monday or Tuesday of each week. Tuesday I'm not on campus, so Tuesday is a good day for me to do these. But guys, I'm going to be pretty soft on the grading when they're due. Just make sure you get them done though before the next week. So work on this during this week, and try to get it done by next Tuesday, basically. If you have any questions, let me know. We can set up Skype, and I can help you that way if needed. And then you'll have Jordan as the tutor. He'll be there to help. We are going to get a little more crazy with this, obviously, but this is just the first assignment. It's pretty simple. So I think that's about it, guys. So if you have any questions, let me know. We'll talk to you later.